I had always hated Halloween. It just seemed such nonsense, and it genuinely spooked me out, though I always tried hard to make it fun for my son Aidan. After a brief trick-and-treat trawl, I bathed him, put his pyjamas on, read him a story, kissed his soft toffee curls, and headed out to work, leaving him with Mrs. Fernandez, our neighbour. I don't usually work Halloween, but this year I needed the extra cash more than I needed to stay out of all the ghoulish craziness. The last night of the month meant my rent was due tomorrow, and I was nowhere near being able to pay it. Guilt gnawed at me with every mile, knowing he would be missing our cosy bedtime cuddle and chat. Brave little chap that he was, I knew Halloween spooked him a little too, especially after that ridiculously creepy clown show today at school, courtesy of Mr. Giggles, whose face was flecked with the strain of its heavy white grease paint, garish thick red lips, and a huge bulbous honking nose. Mr. Giggles gave me a distinctly dismissive glare when I neglected to fill up his tip hat with any hard cash. I felt he sensed my lack of enthusiasm for his show. So true, but I also literally couldn't manage to give him a cent. Aidan wanted to say goodbye to everyone, but I quickly grabbed his hand and headed off. Halloween night was now in full swing. Between the costume parties, bar crawls, and trick-or-treaters running through the streets, it felt like the city had turned into a madhouse. But there was something else too. The usual celebrations weren't quite as exuberant as usual, and I wondered if there was an underlying unease due to the news of reports of a man the internet had dubbed Cackles the Carver, a knife-wielding serial killer who, it was rumoured, screamed with laughter while slaughtering his victims. I had regretfully decided to call it a night when a new request flashed up. It was a juicy one, with a number of stops along the way, and it could earn me the final amount I needed to pay my rent in the morning. I accepted the booking, already feeling perky at the thought that I could keep Aidan safe another month. I pulled up to the corner where the app directed me, squinting through the windshield at a dark figure standing under a sterile streetlight. The size and shape told me it was a man, dressed in a black hoodie, his face in shadow. I hesitated, fingers hovering over the lock. Something about this felt wrong. Telling myself I'd had too much Halloween candy, I hit the door lock open button. The back door creaked open, and the hooded figure slipped inside without a word. "Hi there," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just drive," came the reply. The voice was low, casual, controlled. The tone seemed final, a command, not a request. I didn't argue. I followed the sat-nav's directions to his first location. The radio crackled with another update about Cackles the Carver's latest victim, and I quickly switched it off. The silence that followed was suffocating. Suddenly, a woman stumbled into the street ahead of us. I could see a crashed car in the distance and a man lying in the road. She was covered in blood and waving frantically, her face pale and shocked. I slammed on the brakes, the car skidding to a stop. My heart raced as I unbuckled my seatbelt and reached for the door. "What the hell are you doing?" my passenger snapped, his voice growled. She's hurt, I need to try and help." "No, you don't." I turned to face him, my hand still on the door handle. His hood had slipped back just enough for me to now see his face. A greasy, white smear of paint, blood-red lips twisted into a grotesque grin. My blood ran cold. Mr. Giggles, my least favourite entertainer, was sitting in the back seat of my car. Could it be? Was it possible Giggles was Cackles the Carver? "You see her," he said, gesturing towards the woman who was now limping towards the car. "She's not your problem. Drive." I couldn't think, couldn't move. My heart hammered against my ribs as I looked towards the woman. She was reaching out with one hand, the other held a wound on her side. Before I could react, the back door opened. The clown monster stepped out, a glint of metal in his hand. The woman froze in terror. He moved so fast I barely registered it. Just a blur of movement, the knife slicing through the air. And then she was on the ground. He threw his head back as a howling cackle came roaring out from deep inside him. When the noise stopped, I stumbled out of the car. "Why are you doing this?" I cried, my voice shaking as I backed away from him. He turned away, wiping the blade clean on her clothes with a casualness that made the bile rise in my throat.
"Because it's funny, Maya,"
he said, his grin widening.
"Did you think I wasn't funny enough to tip?"
My heart sank, and a deeper fear gripped me now. He remembered me from the school show, and that meant he remembered Aidan.
"You see,"
he said, stepping closer,
"this is your fault. You should have appreciated me when you had the chance."
Quick as lightning, he bent down through my open car door and took the keys out of the ignition, and then he pulled my phone from its holder on the dashboard.
"Get back in the car. I'll do the driving now."
I thought about running, but where would I go? He had my keys and phone. I thought of Aidan sleeping sweetly at home. I would get back to him somehow, no matter how. I got into the car as the killer clown slipped into the driver's seat and turned on the ignition.
"Let's go, Maya,"
he said softly, as if we were just two friends heading to the next stop.
"There's still work to do."
The street is deserted. We pass a bus stop with a lone man sitting at it, hunched over in the cold, eyes glued to his phone. Cackles leaned back in his seat, his face one big twisted grin.
"One last job, Maya,"
he said.
"And then, if you complete it, you're free to go home to Aidan. Pull over."
He handed me the knife, traces of blood still wet on the blade. My hand shook as I took it, my small reflection staring back at me through the metal's tainted surface.
"You do this, and little Aidan gets to see you tomorrow,"
he said, his voice soft, almost tender.
"But if you don't..."
He trailed off, but I didn't need him to finish the sentence.
"I need you to prove you're a worthy mother. Mothers should be willing to kill to protect their young. Otherwise they are useless and deserve to die themselves. Get out of the car."
I got out, my legs barely able to support me. I thought about Aidan, about what would happen to him without me there. The man at the bus stop didn't even glance up. I noticed he had headphones in, so he wouldn't even hear me approach. I stood there, the cold night air sharp in my lungs. Then, with one last glance back at my tormentor, I did it. The one thing I thought I would never, ever do. I heard the demonic cackle fill the air again. It felt like it would pierce my eardrums. Then I felt a hot, rancid voice whisper in my ear.
"Well done. You've passed the test, Maya. And don't worry. Everyone will think it was me. Happy Halloween."
And then he takes the knife from my hands, and all that is left of him is the sound of footsteps, running, fading into the night mist. I thought I'd been his victim, but now I understood. I wasn't just part of this demonic projection. I was the reason for it. I was his final laugh.